Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Park Right Here, your favorite podcast. I'm Tom Cosentino. Katrina sent me a message, something about she's lost in Tennessee. So I'm not quite sure what that means, but hopefully she'll find herself and she will get back on the call. But today we've got a very interesting guest. His name is Stephen Greene, and he's writing a comic book or a graphic novel. I'm not sure what the differences are, but I want to say hi to Steve and let him tell us his little stories. Jump on in, Steve.
Thanks, Thomas. I appreciate it. Do you live in Tennessee? I mean, she's
No,
also.
I live in Delaware.
Oh, okay. Completely different place. Okay. Yeah, my name is Stephen Greene. I am 70 years old. I've had Parkinson's for 15 years. A year ago, I had deep brain stimulation surgery. And What happened was I was having coffee with a good friend, and he said, "You've got a machine in your head," which is, basically what DBS is.
Yeah.
And you're like a superhero. So I went home and I started a script about a character named Neuro Ninja who has Parkinson's. He has superpowers through some freak MRI incident. But he still has Parkinson's. So the one force he cannot challenge is his Parkinson's disease, even though he's a superhero. So the key line is he's unsteady but unshakable.
I like that.
Yeah. And it came out of it's funny because the first time I wrote it, I wrote him as a invulnerable Superman character. And then I realized, no. I think I need to recognize the community I'm part of, the Parkinson's community. And so he still has the disease. It's just he uses his symptoms to defeat his enemies rather than be defeated by them.
That's great.
Yeah. So that's the basics. I can go into more detail if you want.
Well, so what made you come up with this particular character? What was your muse?
Well, actually, I have a close friend who's a very creative guy and has done a lot in that world where technology meets creativity. But it was really my way of having a project that I could dive into head first. When you have Parkinson's, if you don't dive into something to preoccupy your mind, you think about your Parkinson's. And I've had weeks and months like that. And I've come to the conclusion that, listen, Parkinson's is a serious condition, but there's a place for humor and adventure and enjoying that and getting involved in that. And so that's what I've chosen to do.
I've always said that I want to be a lightning rod for stupidity because of the humor aspect of it. If I could be in a position to make someone laugh at a stupid joke or stupid anything, then I think we're waiting for that moment.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, it's strange because I said, are people going to say you're making fun of the Parkinson's community? I'm not. But there is fun to be had, just being with other people with Parkinson's. I'm in touch with so many people online and offline, and it's gratifying. And I think honestly that everyone who has Parkinson's has a hero story. Some are different than others.
Well, I got to tell you my Superman hero story with Parkinson's. I mean, Spider-Man. Right. So when I was first diagnosed, I went to see my movement disorder specialist. The first time we met, he's going through the checklist. You grow up on a farm, you drink well water, blah, 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 blah. And he says, you ever fall into a vat of acid? And I looked at him and said, no, but as a teenager, I was bitten by a radioactive spider. And I have this crazy spider sense. And he looked at me and goes, Spider-Man? I said, yeah. He goes, why'd you say that? I said, why'd you ask me if I fell into a vat of acid? I said, Doc, this is the money, right here. And he goes, I'm just checking to see if you're listening. And I said, well, I am listening and so was he, because he picked up, when I was a teenager, Spider-Man was my go-to superhero.
Sure.
I remember in my bedroom, I had a piece of fishing line with a little Spider-Man on a hook so he could spin his web and just go across the room.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, needless to say, and I say this in the term of endearment, I was a geek.
Yeah, that sounds great. You know, it's funny because I'm doing the comic book, but I was not a big comic book reader, although Spider-Man was my go-to as well. So I understand that.
With great powers come great responsibilities.
Yes, 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 yes. Absolutely. And so I have a bunch of characters in there. I've got a character named Brain Fog, who's a boxer. I've got another character called misfolding because the misfolding of proteins obviously causes Parkinson's, but she uses origami to defeat her enemies. So, yeah. So I try to weave, and I'm trying to weave my story into it as well. I lost my wife to cancer within the first 2 years of my diagnosis,
Oh my!
and
Sorry.
yeah, it was sad, but she was a bright, upbeat person. So, in fact, we're going down to the New Jersey shore to memorialize a bench, and we said, "What are we going to write on the bench?" This is kind of a sidebar, but I know you're big on those.
No, no, we're big on tangents here.
So I said to my kids, who are grown or in their 30s, what should we put on the bench to say? And they came up with, her heart was as big as her hair. She had a large head and hair.
I love that.
Yeah. So that's what's going on a bench in a park in Lavallette, New Jersey. So, we try to maintain our sense of humor and try to do it in the comic as well.
Yeah, because that's what I look at my superpower as being, hopefully make people laugh and use Parkinson's as my go-to card. I was doing a symposium and I had a table outside the meeting area. Wasn't getting a lot of traffic, so I went in the symposium itself. At break, I started handing out a bunch of little pieces of information.
Yeah.
The lady in charge says, we prefer that you don't do that. That was part of the meeting this morning. I said, oh, I'm sorry. I remember you said that, but I've forgotten about it because of my Parkinson's. And she just looks at me and goes, no. Everyone here has Parkinson's. I said, okay, how about if I come up with a better excuse?
Yeah, I know. I'm always inappropriately saying, I have Parkinson's, as a joke. Why did I not phone that person or whatever? But it's amazing because when I was first diagnosed 15 years ago, there was no Parkinson's community as far as I can tell. And now it's a very strong community.
I know I've been a little over 9 years, and before I was diagnosed, there was a gentleman who lived at the end of the street from us who had Parkinson's, and that's the only person I knew that had Parkinson's.
Yeah,
never even wasn't even something that was on my radar.
Yeah, I had what was first diagnosed as essential tremor.
Same here.
And and I looked through all the medical books. What could it be? And I just skipped over the Parkinson's part. So, well, I don't have that, Yeah. Well, there are a lot of us. And so the comic book, what I enjoy about it is I'm hoping that it's going to be entertaining to not just old folks like myself with Parkinson's, but younger folks too. It's pretty wacky.
Good. So who does the artwork? Because you got a cool looking shirt on.
Thank you. Well, this cool shirt is available on my Kickstarter right now.
No, I think that was just a softball question.
But the question is, who's the artist? It's a guy in the Netherlands who I found on a site, but he's great. He's really terrific. So he's going to complete the comic book as soon as we're ready.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So you create the story and the dialogue, and then he takes your ideas and puts them into illustrations.
Yeah, I'm kind of the creative director of it, so
Okay.
I certainly have a lot to say about the visuals. But he is the artist. Yeah, absolutely. So it's sort of like in an ad agency, there's a creative director, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he's bringing for a lot to the party. But
Well, by the way, is that your superhero cup?
Yes, it is.
Okay, don't hide it. Put it out there so we all can see it. There you go.
Yep. And I've got another one. This is the cover of the comic book is going to have this image on it.
Yeah, we got to do as much self-promoting as we possibly can with that.
Okay. Okay. I'll show you another cup that I have. So for a $50 donation on my Kickstarter, you get one of those or you get this shirt.
So how do you find your Kickstarter?
How do you find it?
You just Google your name and Kickstarter?
No, not my name. You put Neuro Ninja, spelled like neuro, like neurological, Neuro, and it's same word, capital Ninja. So, and maybe can you put a link on your site so people can find it?
Yeah, I'll see if we can do that. Add a link to it.
Okay. And I've got a great video on there that's real fun that describes the whole project. But I'm trying to raise $6,000, which is what I need to complete it. And I'm halfway there, which is great. But I have very few shirts left if people are interested.
So I think I'm doing this. I'm
So you
typing
go to
in Neuro
Kickstarter. Yeah.
Ninja, Ninja.
Yes. One
So
word.
I'm just putting in Neuro Ninja at Kickstarter.
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 I don't know if you'll find it through Google that way.
Well, no, I just put it in the chat box. So it's
Oh, okay. Got it. Great.
Neuro one word Ninja at Kickstarter.
Yep. I have to go on Kickstarter first and do a search on Kickstarter.
Sure.
But if they want to email me because they can't find it, I'm glad to provide that.
Yeah, I think this is where technology.
Yeah.
I gotta get out of the comments section. Okay.
Yeah. Find it?
Yep, I'm back.
Okay, great.
So how long have you been working on this so far?
A year.
Oh,
You know
wow.
what happened was I did it and then I said, no, it's not right. So I stepped away for a couple of months and realized, in a way, he's kind of a projection of my best self. And so I realized I have to be vulnerable, and so therefore he has to be vulnerable to be a superhero.
Yeah,
Every
that makes
superhero,
sense.
every superhero has kryptonite, right?
Yep.
So the movie rights are available.
So what kind of enemies does he battle?
Misfolding, which causes your protein to fold, brain fog, and for some reason a guy named Leon Trusk, which is a bad guy trying to send everyone with Parkinson's to Mars and sabotage deep brain stimulation surgery.
Ooh, bad guy.
Yeah, bad guy. And there'll be others. I don't want to spoil everything about it, but his wife dies in the comic book from a roller. I call it roller. I'm word searching. Roller coaster.
I don't go on.
A roller coaster crashes to the ground, killing his wife. And I have a footnote there that says my wife would have loved to have died in a roller coaster accident.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. So I'm trying to weave a little bit of my own history into it without getting in the way of the story. And so the final will be like a 32-page classic saddle stitch comic. And that'll be the first episode. And I'll go from there. Hopefully Michael J. Fox will be listening to this podcast. And
I'll call him at the end of the show.
Okay. You and Michael are tight?
At one point I did a little picture of Michael J. Fox's Teen. Remember that movie Teen Werewolf or whatever he played in?
Yeah.
And I said one of the precursors to having Parkinson's is if you're a teenage werewolf. And I actually got confused. Some people don't get it. Some people said that they told me that was very rude, and it was come on, get up. It was funny.
Yeah, there's some people who just don't get it. I mean, they say, "Why do you need a new superhero? Michael J. Fox and Jimmy Choi are superheroes." But I ignore that.
So how long have you been working on this so far?
A year.
And you've got how much is it the kickstarting to help pay for the illustration?
Yeah, I have all the keyframes drawn, but
Because I assume you work for free.
yeah, I do. I've spent a bunch of money, which I won't talk about, but this is really a recouping thing, the Kickstarter for me, trying to get my money back so I can finish it. I don't mind being out of pocket on it. It's my passion, but I need money to do it.
Yeah. So I'm just going to make an unsolicited thing out to everybody. If you have Parkinson's and you're watching this video, here's a gentleman who's doing something to bring, humor to the whole Parkinson's field. Visit his Kickstarter page. Give him what is it? $5, $10. You'll take anything.
Yeah. $5 would be great. If I had, it helps me. $5 helps me because it's not just about the money. It's about where they put you on the Kickstarter. It's a complicated algorithm. But
I hate algorithms.
Yeah. So, even if a person gave $1, it tells me more people are interested. And I'm just trying to perk the curiosity and interest of a lot of people if I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we get a pretty decent sized audience, and we'll just ask them to go to Kickstarter, Neuro Ninja, and then just whatever you can give, $5, $10, $1. He'll take anything. I'm assuming he'll take anything sent. What about Kohl's Cash?
Kohl's Cash? What are you talking about? I don't know.
The grocery, the clothing store Kohl's. Everybody loves Kohl's Cash.
I don't know what Kohl's. I mean, I'm not familiar with Kohl's Cash.
Well, okay.
Excuse my ignorance. I won't accept Kohl's Cash. I'm sorry. Travel reward points? No, thank you.
Yeah.
$1 is good.
If I remember, you were quite the hiker too, weren't you?
Nope. Got the wrong guy.
Oh, I was Googling your name and some other things. So my bad.
Yeah, different person. Yeah, I was actually a PR guy I headed up an agency for a bunch of years. That's really what I did.
And where was that? Was that like New York?
New York, Empire State Building in New York City.
Where are you now?
Now I'm in Edgewater, New Jersey, a suburb of New York.
Oh, okay, because I'm in Bethany Beach, Delaware.
Oh, okay.
A suburb of nothing.
Yeah, no, it's the leaves are changing on the trees here, and it looks beautiful.
Oh.
And it's a fun, nice place to live. And I live by myself, but I've got 2 kids who are great. And
are they close?
One has moved from LA back to New York, so that's great. She's a speech language pathologist.
Oh, great.
And the other my son is involved in a startup in Austin, Texas.
Ooh, Texas Silicon Valley.
Yeah, right, exactly. And his wife-to-be is involved in killing mosquitoes genetically. Whatever that
I try to kill them like this.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I don't know what it is, but my wife can take her arm, stick it out the door, and get bit by 5 mosquitoes. I may get 1 mosquito bite a year.
Yeah, I think there's some difference in the men and women. With the mosquitoes are more attracted to women, I think.
Well, let's keep it that way.
I'll check with my sources on that to verify it. Yeah. Tell me about, I mean, I'm sure all your listeners know a lot about you, but I don't.
All right, so I'll give you it's funny because like most people, I was misdiagnosed. And, August of 2015, I started having tremors and weren't sure what they were. I thought it was stress. And so I go to my family doctor. He goes, well, it didn't, after a week or so, it didn't go away. So I saw my family doctor. He said, well, I don't want to scare you. That may be Parkinson's. So why don't you go to the hospital? And because not that you have to go to the hospital, but they can run a series of tests that I can't. So I went to the hospital. They did a battery of tests. And initially they said it was essential tremor and a pinched nerve. And they said I should go see physical therapy. And they gave me the name of a local neurologist. The physical therapist turned out to be really good. She was like my first Parkinson's angel.
Yeah.
But the neurologist they sent to me was very clinical, and she saw me a couple, 3 times, and it was like December of 2015. She basically said, "I think you have Parkinson's. Come back in 30 days." And in hindsight, I know what she meant. She said, this is an observational, disease, and I have to see more of you to see if I see the Parkinson. But the way she phrased it, so I remember going out to the parking lot and calling my physical therapist, said, "Can you give me the name of another neurologist and a movement disorder specialist?" And that's how I went to the first neurologist that she recommended, and I was really honest with her. I said,
Yeah.
I need to get in to see a movement disorder specialist. They're 6 months behind. Can you see me until that point? And she said, "Oh, absolutely." And then about 2 months later, I got to see my neurologist, and he's the gentleman, the Spider-Man gentleman. So we've been dating for 9 years now. So I was able to work about 4.5+ years since my diagnosis, and then the stress of the job just got too much.
Yeah.
So I was kind of went on. I kind of retired early.
Yeah. Me too. And dealing with my wife's care as well.
Oh, absolutely.
But New York's got a lot of doctors, so I've had very good doctors throughout. Although when I was first diagnosed, I came in the office and said, I don't think I have essential tremor, because I went to a doctor about the essential tremor. He said, "Oh, you have Parkinson's." And then I said, "Well, what is that? Tell me about it." He gave me some, carbidopa levodopa. He said, "Take it. If it works, you have it."
Isn't that part of the experience? Isn't that a bitch? That's the thing I hate about this.
Yeah, I know. Well, I don't know. There's new tests for diagnosing, right?
There's a lot.
Biomarker, but I don't think they have that in
There's a lot of testing with biomarkers trying to,
Yeah.
But I'm a consumer reviewer for. This is something I was volunteered for this year. Is there are research grants for Parkinson's that go through the Department of Defense, and they have a board that reviews all the applications, and I sit in on it as the consumer reviewer. The consumer being I have Parkinson's.
Cool.
And it was very interesting because we together with myself and another person, we contributed like about 15 different research grants. And there was a lot of scientific grants that they were looking for to kind of take, instead of making an observational, take like data and and then try to make data diagnoses. But the one thing that it was interesting is they had all these tests or fundings for ways of, like to find out if you have a precursor, being blood work, or there was a way that they can sense chemical changes in the skin or changes in the eye. And my question was to mostly that these sound great, but how do you identify? No one knows they have Parkinson's till they have Parkinson's.
Right.
And that's usually 5 to 10 years into it. So these are great studies, but if you can't find a way to incorporate them into every year, every 5 years type routine, they really have no value.
Yeah.
And that's the hard thing with Parkinson's for those, who usually, for those who don't know, or hopefully you do know, that Parkinson's is the brain, the part of the brain that produces the dopamine. Those cells basically die off. Sure. And by the time you realize you've got a symptom that's been 5 or 8 years, they say that it's the slow progress.
Sure. Yeah. I was definitely at least 5-10 years. I was probably more. I mean, when I look back, I interpret some of the symptoms I had when I was 20 with my Parkinson's. I don't know for sure, but deep brain stimulation surgery, which is, I was scared to death of the idea of deep stim.
Same here.
And my son asked me, why are you hesitating on it? I said, nothing but white hot fear.
Yeah.
So I sat down myself and I watched 100 YouTubes of a deep brain surgery operation.
Oh, wow. That's like binging.
And I basically realized it's a procedure like any other procedure. And so I said yes. And it's been a godsend for me.
That's good.
Yeah.
I've been a little over 9 years, and I have mine is mostly tremor based, which is for the most part maintained with the medication. It keeps
Yeah, go on. You were
Well,
diagnosed at 56, you said?
yeah, I was 56 when I was diagnosed. I
So
call
was I.
myself a
So was I.
tweener. I'm not quite young onset, but I'm not quite, the typical white-haired old man who gets Parkinson's.
Well, me too. Me too. I was 56 as well.
But what I find is I have mostly, besides itches, no, sorry, I got a little scratch. I have mostly rigidity and muscle soreness and
Uh-huh.
slight tremors in the left arm and the left leg. But having been doing this for 9 years now, it's like I feel very fortunate that my symptoms are so little.
Yeah. When the day after I was diagnosed, I started running, every day until then suddenly I was tripping over my own 2 feet. It was
Mm.
on my left side, so I had to stop that. But you can stretch it out if you keep healthy and exercise.
Yeah, there's one of my pet peeves is when they say any exercise is good exercise, and that gets me a little. I'm like, well, that's technically true. Doing something is better than doing nothing. But when it comes to delaying the progression of Parkinson's, exercise is high intensity, 40 minutes, 3 times a week or more.
Yeah.
That's what helps slows the progression. So if you to the medical field, can you just stop saying any exercise is good exercise? Because
Yeah.
like
Well,
I'm doing exercise, I'm walking my dog around the block. Well, that's great for your dog, but for you, it's not going to do anything for Parkinson's.
right. Yeah, well, I guess they want people to not be afraid to start.
Yeah.
I think exercise is also a little bit addictive if it's benefiting you, and you want to do more rather than
Yeah.
less.
Like right now, for me, I play pickleball 3 times a week for like 2 hours at a time,
Cool.
and I go to spin class 3 days a week, and I ride for 40 minutes.
Wow, that's great. That's great.
Plus,
That's
I'm working in yoga and tai chi into the whole thing now.
wow, cool. Yeah, I took up ping pong and was playing ping pong for a while. Went to Rock Steady Boxing, did that, and that was great. Rock Steady Boxing was great.
I
It's
did
at
that for a while.
right at the right moment. But I actually box with I have an individual trainer who comes to my home, and so he has me boxing as well.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So I'm waiting for the gloves so I can beat somebody up, but no one's offered them to me yet. So
Well, we're thinking maybe the Paralympics may start things with Parkinson's patients. Maybe we can start a boxing.
that's cool. That's cool. Yeah. Um, yeah, I use a walker and for the most a rollator, and for the most part, I use it home and away. But I guess I'm going down to Washington D.C. for a friend in a couple of weeks. I'm going to the Jersey Shore on Saturday with my daughter,
No,
and
that's nice.
so I'm getting around. I'm getting out.
Yeah, we've been traveling a little bit more just for different things. Like we're going to visit. My daughter lives in California. We're going to visit her for Christmas. Our friend's getting married in Cape Cod. We're going to drive up,
Oh, great.
take like 4 days and make it into a little mini vacation.
Nice.
Just trying to get out because my wife and I are both retired now.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, when I was a kid, my parents had a little place on Cape Cod. Used to go there every summer. Good memories.
Right next to the Kennedys? Or no, that's not it.
Far from the Kennedys. Far from the Kennedys. No, it was. But yeah, something else I've done in the past year is write something, stories of my childhood, and put it into a bound book.
Oh, cool.
Publish it on this website called Storyworth that allows you to do that. So I recorded stories of when I was a kid and got in trouble and things like that, and distributed to my family. So that was another project.
Oh, neat. I do some volunteer work in addition to, I like the podcast because from my perspective, I want to reach out to the masses. The one-on-one when someone's newly diagnosed, I like doing those. But to me, if I can put the same energy and time into reaching more people, that's what I want to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been so impressed by the young onset community. They're really online. They're there. They're podcasting. A woman named Mel and another woman named Esther. And People
Well, I
like
know
that.
that's actually Mel was the one who called me. I guess we have a mutual friend in Mel.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's I saw one of her podcasts or one of her Twitters or something,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I've got to reach. And I got her email address, sent her a message saying I need to talk to you.
Yeah. She
We
is all
started a
about.
conversation.
She's all about love in a real
Yeah.
way, and it's really wonderful. Her contribution is amazing.
And I was just talking to Esther last night on a local support group that we do on Wednesday nights for a half hour.
Uh-huh. That's great. That's great.
I find there's so many people out there in the community that's willing to share just to help other people better, better acclimate themselves to this, if that's the right word.
Yeah, it's kind of bad word, but normalizing it. This is
Normalizing, that's
yeah, absolutely. So to hawk my Kickstarter for a minute.
oh yeah, because all about self-promoting.
All self-promotion, yes, but for a good cause.
Yep.
Because I need money to get the comic actually created, and so you get this shirt I'm wearing for a $50 contribution, or a mug with my character on it, or this mug, same character, different pose, and so that's my pitch, and I'm about halfway to my goal, which is great.
Oh, good.
People have been wonderful about it. But I'm really interested in people with small donations, want to give $5 or even $1, because I'm trying to reach out to the community through the comic. I've got a great video on my site, and hopefully you can somehow list the URL on your podcast. That's my whole pitch.
There we
But,
go.
unsteady but unshakable is his motto. I told you that already. So I think that's really captures how a lot of us feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But it's nice to have a superhero out there.
yeah. I mean, everyone's got, everyone's a hero with Parkinson's in terms of, challenging yourself to, whether it's holding a shaky cup of coffee or it's traveling, you know, there's so many people I've met who have been so heroic about challenging themselves and helping others. So hopefully
Yeah.
I'm doing that a little bit.
It's funny the way we challenge ourselves. Like I bring my wife coffee in the morning, and so far I haven't spilled a drop. I'm like very carefully
Good
bring
for
it to her.
you. Yeah. I prepare my own breakfast. I'm the same way. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So what else are you working on? Just
The comic book has been my full-time thing.
okay.
Full-time. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So
Okay.
when you work with the illustrator, you said it's the Netherlands? I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
I lost my AirPods, but I can hear you. Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. What was your question? I'm sorry. I missed
So how do you generally communicate with your illustrator? Is it like you do like Zoom meets or Google meets or?
It's really frustrating because so many people who do that for a living, they've got other projects going. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of email. There's a particular website, Fiverr. It's called Fiverr, Fiverr. And I did a search for the right kind of artist there, and found. And so at one point the video that was done by a guy in Pakistan, and they keep very different hours.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, so it was an interesting process. It's been like a lot of 24/7 days,
Oh, wow.
putting it together. But I love it. I mean, I'm excited about it. I'm excited to bring it to the real life in the world. And who knows what will happen? I don't expect making any money. I expect to lose money, but maybe make friends.
Oh, sure. Well, who doesn't want a superhero as a friend?
Really, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's almost like medicine. That's
I
my
still
hope.
find myself. I love watching the Marvel, show movies and
Yeah,
the X-Men and all that stuff. I love that.
so many spin-offs. It's crazy.
Can't keep track of the spin-offs.
Yeah, I know. But I do too. And a lot of guys do, but I think this applies for women as well in terms of wanting a hero to identify with.
Hmm.
You know, as he gets defeated quite often by his Parkinson's, as well as using it on his enemies. He uses his symptoms on his enemies, like dyskinesia. He knocks down brain fog because he's shaking.
Right.
So tremor. So it's just an example of his symptoms become part of his power. And I think that's, in a way, happens to all of us, that we become more vulnerable. We learn how to ask for help. We learn to bond with the people who we're close to.
Hmm.
So in some ways, Parkinson's changed my life in a positive way.
Yeah, I can see that because I always look at life in a sense that you can choose to be happy or you can choose to be miserable.
Right.
Either one's a choice, and you got to work at both. So why not choose happiness?
It's very good. Yeah, I
Plus, it
totally.
allows me to be stupid.
Yeah, and I say the more I screw up, the more I learn how to screw up.
Well, I like to find if I had my dream job, I would be a writer for the Seinfeld show. Just someone sitting in the room, not actually writing proactively, but just listening to the conversation. I like
Yeah,
to take little bits of information that I hear and find by putting them together, see how you can make them humorous.
yeah. You're a pretty friendly guy.
Yeah. Well, my favorite joke that I did was this was during the time when we were trying to pass the National Act to end Parkinson's. And it was kind of taking into account there was actually or is it 4 or 6 Republicans who did not vote in favor. Everyone they had the Senate voted 100%. The House was like 439, with 6 of them not voting or voting against it. So my
Yeah.
thing was once that one of these nasty Republican congressmen were going to a support group meeting after not voting in favor of the act, but there was a large constituency, so they felt like they had to go. So the congressman's walking in the room, and he's looking at his aide. He goes, "I'm not sure what to expect." Then he opens the door, and he looks and he goes, "Oh, it's going to be okay. They're all waving to us."
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, and someone was, it's funny because sometimes you know, if you don't understand what this means, if you don't know what jazz hands means, the
Yeah,
joke doesn't have any meaning. So you got to
yeah,
have the right audience.
yeah. Absolutely. But the truth is, it affects you in so many different ways. I
Yeah.
mean, I had a point where I was on Amazon buying everything I saw.
Well, I hate Amazon
Impulse,
because I do the same thing. It's so easy.
yeah, that impulsivity. You know, but it's been a journey. It's been a journey. And I just get so excited when I see people like Melissa and Esther and people like that who are really very public about the Parkinson's. It's very reassuring.
Well, have you heard of a group called Young Onset Parkinson's? It's Anna Grill.
I saw them online. I follow them. Yeah.
Yeah, I belong to that group because, like I said, I'm a tweener, but sometimes I feel like I'm the adult in the room because I'm 65. But she does, especially people with young onset, she does a tremendous job.
That's great. That's great.
I like to say she's a force of nature.
Yeah, that's terrific. Yeah. I mean, as bad as Parkinson's is at this age, I think it's really a blow when you get it so young.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's where the importance of, I was talking to somebody and I said, well, I don't have any genetic markers for Parkinson's, but I thought I would like to have my kids tested. And she said, well, what would that result in? I said, well, if they turn out that they do have the biomarker, maybe
yeah,
they can make some lifestyle changes now as opposed to later, whether it's exercising more, eating healthier, or just saying, hell, I'm going to live life better today because maybe in 20 years I won't be able to do that.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I do have a genetic biomarker for it. I don't know where it came from. I guess it's connected to supposedly Ashkenazi Jews from Western Europe. I
Yeah.
don't know. But so my kids are aware of it, but
Well, I was raised Catholic, and it was funny because you almost do anything you want, just don't marry someone who's not Catholic. Yeah.
uh-huh. That's funny. I married a Catholic who turned Jewish. Anyway,
That's funny.
yeah, yeah.
I thought the husband usually converts to the the wife's religion.
Not in this case, but yeah. So it's been a good journey for me, this comic book, and I hope people are interested. They can go on Kickstarter and search for Neuro Ninja, and they can make a little donation. I appreciate
Well,
it.
that's great. And I know we started a little bit later today, so I'm going to have to jump off. I got another call in a little bit. But
Go
I just
ahead.
want to make one more plug. If you're listening to this, go to Kickstarter, Neuro Ninja, Google it, send them $5, because I know I'll send you $5 today.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, Steve. You have a great day. It was a pleasure having you on
You
the
too.
show.
It's a pleasure being here.
Now I'm going to see if I can figure this out.
Let's keep in touch.
You got it, sir. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.